Troy in Orlando. Troy in Orlando, how are y'all?
How you doing? How you doing? Thank
Doing
you for
great,
having us.
doing great.
We're going to start with the question that everybody wants to know, and that is how long have y'all been together and how did y'all first meet?
So we actually just was talking about this so we could be accurate. We actually met in 2020 during the pandemic. I'm originally from New Orleans. Orlando's from Hattiesburg, Mississippi. During the pandemic, I had relocated back to New Orleans. I had left after Hurricane Katrina, and been away for 17 years, primarily in Atlanta. Moved here in 2020, met Orlando, I think shortly after he moved here in 2020, around September. Immediately, like, our vibes was cool. We were hanging out, kicking it. I think probably a few weeks after we met, he like officially asked me out, which was I think was like October 1st, 2020. We dated for a little while, didn't have the best communication, and things like because of that, like we never like fully communicated. I'll say like that we were official or exclusive. Things kind of got blurred and we had like stopped talking. But we still like remained friends, especially him still being like new to the city. I felt it was cool to, keep a relationship that was platonic and cordial. So probably dated for like a few months, stopped talking for almost a year. And during that time, we both had like grown and we reconnected again later in 2021. He had started his photo booth business. I saw it was a great opportunity that he had. Um, at that time we were also starting to spend a little bit more time together and started like in a sense started working and redating again, and things were like kind of really meshing well where we really started to like see who he was, who I was, and like what we really had to offer, what we could really like build and establish together. All of those things was like super attractive to me. So I'll say 2022 we officially like became boyfriends. This February will be 5 years total. Yeah. Yeah, and I did say how we met.
Yeah, we met on Jack. Actually thought he was catfish and turned out not to be.
Why did you think you was catfish?
His pictures were too good. Like he had like professional pictures, and I was just like, yeah, this is probably somebody just using somebody's pictures. And I was new to the city, had just moved here September 1st, my birthday. Wasn't really looking for anything, but like when I saw him and we hung out, I was just like, okay, wow. And then once I got to know him, once I started the photo booths, I realized that he had a lot of things that I needed, not necessarily like um business wise, personal wise, or business. It was more so business wise, like, wow, this is something that I could get his help on. And in that, like, of course, the attraction, but the way that he handles business, the way that he lines things up, I saw us being a perfect partners.
What caused that lapse in communication?
Now that we are together and like I know who he is and like what he's been through, he was dealing with a lot moving here, trying to be like independent on his own, like trying to find that stability and trying to like get to know somebody at the same time. And I'm also probably with somebody that like he wasn't used to dating. Like if he was tell you that I like had my shit together, in reality, I really didn't. Had to come back to New Orleans to get a fresh start as well. So I think he was like going through that at the same time. I was as well, but I feel like I was going through it a little better than he was. So I feel like during that time, it was probably a little overwhelming for him that he wasn't able to effectively communicate like what he was going through. So I feel like we slowly started to become more friends during that time. So we didn't fully like communicate that. So like when I first met him, I told him like I was openly dating. So that became an issue where somebody reached out to him like, oh, I was talking to him when we were in that stage where I felt like we were friends. So it was like a lack of communication. That was something that he like dealt with that he said he wasn't gonna deal with. So we like stopped talking over that. And even during that time, I felt like uh I could have been or should have been extended grace. Um, because again, I felt like I was being an adult as much as I like could be or knew how to be at that time. Even the person who reached out to him when me and him started to be serious, people that I was entertaining, like I let people know, like, hey, getting serious with somebody. However, with this person, during that time, I was like going through a fitness journey. His best friend was a like health enthusiast, provide meal plans, workouts, or whatever. So he was helping me. I had a transformation and had he had bought me like some like lingerie, guy lingerie or whatever. And I took a picture and I'm like, oh shit, my body looks good. So I shared it with the trainer, like, as progress, me not knowing that the dude that I was entertaining was his best friend. So when I did reach out to the guy to let him know, like, hey, things are getting serious, he had already known that I was um getting serious with someone. So he like took it as though I was bullshitting him. And I was like, well, I'm like, yes, I'm trying to let you off or tell you like nicely without just being an asshole. But he was like being real nasty about it. And I was like, well, shit. I was, I felt like trying to do the adult thing when you are like dating people. That happened and we stopped talking for a while. And, I was again still supportive of him being new to the city, trying to help out with his photo booth business, and whatnot. And I guess would say where he was ready to spin the block. The way things aligned even at that time, I felt like it was meant to be.
You need a level of maturity to deal with that kind of situation. So, how were you two able to navigate that in a mature way and find the grace to still create the relationship that y'all have?
Like he said, how he stayed in communication, how we still had that level of respect for each other, even though that didn't work out. It just really made me just fall in love more because, like, once I realized and got over the hurt, of course, I didn't let him know.
Why didn't you let him know?
Because I wanted him to know how serious I was, or really just kind of like you gonna see, like you messed this up, and you had the opportunity to tell. But I think what happened, what it did force us to do is have hard conversations in the beginning. We talked about things that what do you like? What is it? What are you tolerable of? What is your no-goes? Like, how do we navigate this if I wake up one day and say I want this or I want that? Like, and we had those conversations from the beginning versus waiting or surprising each other with things that we know that are our desires or things that we may want or may achieve. We had those conversations in the beginning and still have them. Had one this morning. So it's just kind of like learning to have those conversations and just communicate. And my biggest thing was us letting each other know what we like, because that's the biggest thing that I feel like in my past relationships is I hid a lot of things that I may have been interested in or things that I didn't like or just tolerated things just enough to get by. That's not fair to either one of us. And I brought that into this relationship knowing that I wanted somebody that communicated and that, could be honest with me, even if it's something that could break us up, but at least let me have the ability to like digest it myself and see if there's something that that I'm okay with.
Hopefully, this isn't an intrusive question, but I think this is something that a lot of us bring into our relationship. So it sounds like there may have been a fear of voicing your needs because they might not be able to be met or something like that. Is that what you were dealing with?
Yes, or just not knowing how to vocalize certain things without it seeming, because with it being new and us both being new, or this being his first real relationship and me coming out of a 7-year relationship, there were a lot of things that I was just conditioned to do that I was putting onto him that I just needed to relearn. So just really just trying to figure out what works for us.
Troy, this was your first relationship.
First real relationship as an adult. I would say only relationship where I say we were calling each other like boyfriends. I was in high school, early first year of college. So past that, I haven't been in a like real adult relationship. Have like dated seriously, but it's never gotten to like full on relationship. Um, so yeah, this will be like my first, I guess, like full fledged relationship. Yeah.
How was that a challenge for you?
I don't have anything to shape or wrap like my perception of like what a relationship is, because I don't really have that experience. So it's like
Yeah.
um I only could go based off of what I know, or like how I want to be treated, or like he said, like the things that I expect and desire and whatnot. So it's like I am very like vocal and communicate like how I feel. And I would say my biggest struggle with that is my delivery when I say it. This is like I told him, like my intentions are always like are good. Um, but I sometimes my message may not be delivered right. But then that's when we would have friction, because my delivery may not be right, that the message is lost. Um, so it's like, always having that balance of making sure that we are communicating, but also making sure that we are communicating to like be heard, for the other person to like receive it and to listen, and to ultimately for both of us to understand. And for us is that, for me, that works when it's like, just talk about it, even if sometimes we have to step away or walk away for a second. As
Mhm.
long as we come back and we talk about and get to a resolution versus harping on the problem, I feel like that's always the best alternative for me. There's no blueprint. And I feel like in the way it's a gift and a curse, because I always like tell Orlando is like we get to shape our lives how we want it to like look versus how we expect other people to view it, or their outcome of our relationship. But I was like, we can create whatever we want our life to look like.
Let's take a celebration of Black excellence moment. So share with us your businesses really quickly as well.
Orlando started the photo booth business, mirror image photo booths. You can pretty much
Yes.
you
So
started now.
like we said, moved here in 2020, moved from Hattiesburg, Mississippi. Only had planned to be here a year, just wanted to give myself time away from my family to actually like be able to support myself, see if I could do it without any help, and move to a bigger city. Got here, of course, New Orleans is events heaven. But I had a struggle. I'm a wedding photographer by trade. That's what I do full time, and portrait photography. And when I moved here, really couldn't get the ball rolling with getting clients to where I could sustain myself living here without having to getting a 9 to 5. So during the pandemic, was looking up ways that I could still stay in the event industry and without having to get a 9 to 5. Saw photo booths, decided like, this is something that I could do, but never really connected it with like what we do now. Just thought, okay, I have this at the wedding. If I'm shooting the wedding, I can throw the photo booth up. It can run itself because that's the angle that I was presented it as. Got the booths. Started doing events on Bourbon Street. We would go out there on Bourbon Street, be there like 6 to like 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. And we would do Sundays under the bridge. And that's kind of how like I got the build of going, but I was really working with my friends. And at the time, Troy knew I was doing it, but he wasn't really like investing in, like he wasn't coming out. He's not an outside person like that. So he wasn't coming like unprepared on Sundays. Till one day I was like, I need your help. He came out there and he saw like how much money we made in like 3 hours. I was like, yeah, like these people, they want this. And at the time, 360s were at the height during COVID. They were everywhere. We saw immediately that like this is something growing. And of course, Troy's mindset and his business aspect, mine is all creative. Like, give me the camera, and I can set your lighting up, all that. But when it comes to business, I do lack in that as far as like streamlining it, getting it, buttoned up. And Troy is amazing at that. So when he came in and like we had a conversation and it totally like flipped the switch for me, like, whoa, this is what this could be. Like his what he saw, like I felt it, but I couldn't really put like how do we clean it up to get it to where it's not just backyard birthday parties or like 50th birthday parties or just like regular events. How can we make this corporate to where we could, scale this and scale it fast? We did a lot of research, did a rebrand, and like we were able to like just come together and build a business with friends. All of our workers, or I would say not all, because my sister and my best friend, they're not in the community, but all of our workers are in the community. We lead front with them. They are like they have made our business what it is, because when they came in, like they always say, don't work with your friends, but that's not the story here. Like all of our friends treat the business just as much care as I do and Troy does. We were doing those late nights like on Bourbon Street or like the YouTubing, the parties for free, sponsoring things. I like to say we're reaping the benefits, but like I just honestly feel like our seeds really haven't even sprouted because we've
Mm.
done so much beforehand to where like what we are seeing now is just the iceberg because like we love what we do. We love what we do. We get to share with our friends and with our community some of the things like we were able to do Super Bowl and invite them to events that otherwise they wouldn't have got in without having to pay. So it's just like when those opportunities come up, it's just like, man, I'm so glad not only did I start this business, but I stuck with it with Troy because I don't think that I would have been able to push it as far without his help and without his vision and business aspect. I don't feel like that I would have been able to scale as fast.
For the people who want to support you or learn more about your business, how can they find more information?
Follow us and get connected with us on Instagram and Facebook at MIPBCO. You can also check out our activations page, and we split our brands into pretty much like two. We do photo booths, but we cater to two audiences: weddings, which is MIPBCO, and then our corporate and brand activations is mi.activations on Instagram. And then you can always check out our website at mipbco.com.
So we definitely support our Black men here, so make sure y'all do that. All right, so let's get back into it. So one thing it's important to talk about, and this is going to go back to the question that we've been holding since earlier, are your experiences being Black gay men in the South? And so for Troy, you mentioned having to leave home because of Hurricane Katrina. What were your experiences navigating that as a Black queer man? And then Orlando, you being from Mississippi, what were your experiences being a Black gay man and really coming to terms with who you are there?
Leaving New Orleans and being able to grow up in Atlanta has been a blessing because I got to see like firsthand open, um, I would say I wouldn't even say open because even in New Orleans as a kid, I saw like what gayness looked like or what
Mhm.
queerness looked like for like New Orleans standards. But I would say like here in New Orleans in that time in the 90s, I felt the image of what queerness looked like was very feminine or very flamboyant. And when I went to Atlanta, I felt like I saw a variety of what queerness looks like. So especially within the Black community, even as like 13, 14 years old, I remember my mom and my aunt who moved there at the time, them having conversation about, Black gay men in Atlanta. So like I was excited to be able to like see that representation, and I feel like it was a blessing. I was definitely able to be more comfortable with myself. I never grew up I wouldn't say like hidden, but I definitely wore masks, tried to not be who I truly was. And of course, like just seeing that openly in Atlanta, like it helped me be able to not have to be like, oh, I'm bi or pretend to have a girlfriend, even though I wasn't like openly gay. I could be myself without having to say that I was gay. So it was a blessing to be able to leave New Orleans, go to Atlanta and see and experience a different Black gayness in the South.
So in a way, even though, what happened there was very unfortunate, having the opportunity to move away into a city where you could see more Black gay people kind of was a blessing in its own way.
Yeah, I definitely say that it was like a blessing and a curse. Not only for myself, but for a lot of individuals who, even for the people who moved back, it was crazy for some of them that was their first time like leaving the city or the state. So, for me, it ended up I turned lemons into lemonade. Never thought that I would even come back to New Orleans. So even coming back here and my life has been completely changed. It's been like a full circle moment in a sense.
And for Orlando,
I grew up in the church, but
mm,
my parents didn't really have the like I never felt like I never felt bad for being gay or anything. Like they were always accepting, but my parents are very much in the church, my whole family. But they accept, like they came over here for Thanksgiving, like from day one, like it was always this is Troy. Like before we even dating, like they assumed that because of course, like I've came out of a 7 year relationship, but before then, when I was at home, being in the church, um, mostly like you hear that all the time. Oh, you gay. I was in choir. I was the mascot. So like I'd heard that so long to where it didn't really bother me. It wasn't really like oh being picked on, but I was never really comfortable just saying that I was gay. So it was
Right.
one of those things like yeah, whatever. And then when I in college, I came out to my mom, and after that, it's just been so I don't really have like a bad story for like growing up gay in Mississippi as much as like just like kids like just talking about it because I've always, I've never not been to myself, I've never not been gay. But coming here, it's opened me up to like really be myself because like when we first started, we had an event to do in Hattiesburg, and all of our like I said, all of my friends, all of our workers, our crew, they're in the community. So me being from Mississippi, you don't know what you may get from the guests if you come in a certain way. And some of our team, they're non-gender to non-binary to where, they may come a certain way. And me, with coming from the church, coming from the South, I wanted to protect that. And so like me just not being comfortable sending them. And when they got there, the people loved them. So me having that guard up for like oh how they may treat them because it's not me, or are they just tolerating me, or is this gonna be something an issue if I bring this type of what they would call gay in? And I didn't want, and from being in the South and the way I was raised and just hearing different things, I didn't want them to experience those things from that I've heard other people experience. So it was like a learning. I had to like just tear all that down coming here, seeing how people live out loud, like even with us, like being in public, holding hands. We go to events, like people, we work together. They want to see us together. Oh, y'all take a pictures with us, or like they'll just make jokes to like just really lets me know, like, you don't lead with your gayness. These people love you for who you are. Like, and I've never felt bad when we come into a space. And it's just a good feeling that like just a good feeling to walk in and just be accepted and being able to do that with your friends and with Troy. So it's like it's a good feeling to not have that in the back of our head. Now we do come in places to where we kind of, feel a little like uneasy, but I don't think we've ever had it to where we're like,
I would say we like
yeah,
have to read the room.
yeah.
What's uneasy about it?
Being in New Orleans and just the times that we are in, just as a whole, in the country, that sometimes you just I wouldn't say like have to have your guard up, but you have to, make sure when you enter in places that you are making sure that everything is good. And I would just even say, when we started our business, that was one thing that um, it was intentional for us to like put our faces out there, and to let our like clients know that we are, Black gay males. And at first, that was something that I struggled with as far as that. Is that something we should do, or should we kind of just be in the background and don't let people know like what's going on? And like Orlando says, since we have put our faces out there and we represent, our brand as a Black gay couple, has been honestly like extremely powerful for us. So I just feel like you said, just leading with that in a way that's just authentically being ourselves and not trying to feel like we are like trying to force like something or just do something because it's trendy or whatever,
Yeah.
has like definitely helped us. But again, that's like I said, we like enter rooms to make sure that we are entering places that hopefully will be celebrating us, not tolerating us. So I would say that's like a way that we have to, in a sense, read the room. Because like I said, putting our faces out there, also weed out the people you wouldn't want to work with, if they have an issue with us being Black or being gay. So I would definitely say, it's been a blessing to be able to lead being Black and gay in the South here in New Orleans.
Let's get into this one. For a lot of us as men in relationships, I think we have to work to find that yin and yang balance, right? As two men in a relationship together, how do y'all find that yin and yang balance? Do y'all take turns leading? How do you do that? Because I think one reason the debate about masculine and feminine roles in relationships exist in our community so much is because we're two men and we try to figure out how to make that work. So as two men, how do y'all make the yin and yang of a relationship work?
For the most part, things have flowed like naturally. As far as there, I don't think there's no, as far as like our day to day, there's no gender normative roles that we play. Because I know that's one of the things that we talk about, like some of the things that we have to do around the house or in our business would be the same things that you would have to do if you were single, if I wasn't here or if he wasn't here. So for the most part, it's like I don't know, just my person, I'm very type A personality. He's type B. So I feel like that helps a lot where I'm very much so like on it for the most part. So like I said, for a lot of the things that we do, it comes natural to me that I just like do. And then for him, like, it's like the things that he is good at or the things that I would like need him to do for us like around the house is I don't know. I don't know if that would be what that would be called, but um it'd be like things I lead with, and then there's things that he lead with.
Yes.
I feel like naturally I'm probably again type A. And then for things that I know that he's good at, I make sure I let him do what he needs to do. And vice versa. The part where it does clash where I say like being two men is when we do have like a strong opinion about something.
Hmm.
Um, it'd be like sometimes someone has to be the submissive one. So I feel like in there are times in our like regular like life where that will be the pull. And sometimes that's where it just have to be like compromises where if I know that's something that is his that he's the pro at and I know that he's good at that, I fall back in the same. So I feel like that would be the only times or if we have creative differences. And then with that, that would just all boils down to what the business standard is. Um, or if he has a creative idea, it'll be more so probably helping his idea get a little bit more elevated. And then for me, sometimes it may have to be pulled back a little bit.
With being creatives, everybody's idea is the best idea, and really just having to learn how to give constructive criticism, and in hearing that, receive it without taking offense to it. Because there are, like you said, like I'm my primarily the creative or the so if there's something that he may critique me on that I feel like there's nothing wrong with, learning how to take that in and not make a face or not, get upset or just hear him out, because it could be something that I'm overlooking because I've been staring at this so long. So just really like communicating and just figuring out what the person's triggers are. Like I know him, he is design. Don't touch the design. But I am gonna give you what I may feel. Now you may not take it, and I feel like learning how to do that and the other person at least hear you out. But when you block somebody out when they're giving you, and that was a lot of what I used to do, because
Hmm.
you can't tell me the picture doesn't look good. Like this is what I do. So it's getting out of yourself and learning that we are a team. Like I'm his boss, he my boss. Like we gonna work this thing together. Like we can't get upset during, like I can't go anywhere else. Like we work together. Like when I'm gonna go to the living room and have to walk past you mad, we're not doing that. So just making sure that we respect each other when we're at work, and that we're not, overstepping boundaries to where we're saying anything in the heat of the moment. Cause like we're dealing with clients, we're dealing with things that have deadlines to where sometimes we do get out of the role of you my man, like to where we have to talk to each other like I need this done, and like just making sure that when he's saying that or when I'm saying it, I understand that it's not offensive. And that has been hard because we all have feelings, and just making sure that when those things do occur, and we may feel a way that we let each other know, hey, this is how I felt. And I'm big at that, like just making sure, hey, this is how I felt. Like it may not be received in that moment, but I feel like just me getting it out or him getting it out, it kind of like brings us back to like, okay, pull yourself together. Like if you was at work, you probably get wrote up for what you just did. So like just making sure that we, are respectful for each other and respecting our relationship and not talking to each other, crazy off of business when we have to when we have to walk into the next room together and cook together or watch TV together. It's not a good thing if we're fussing the whole day about business.
I don't think a lot of times people really understand the amount of work and sacrifice that comes with being full-time entrepreneurs as well as like full-time creatives. It's challenging, but it's like challenging. I like I always tell Orlando, like I lean into the challenges now because I feel like there's always growth in the challenges that arise and like overcoming um whatever that may face, because it's like even within this business, like so many things have been thrown at us and all of it is new. Like again, this is not only are we like the first in our family to have like a full, well no, his mom has a thriving business. She's a full-time entrepreneur. But it's like even our revenue is pretty much identical of what his mom has been making, and your mom has been doing this what like
20 plus years.
and we've reached that in full like 4 years. And we only can continue to go up. We constantly are pushing each other to be better versions of ourselves, to be better for each other, for our business and for our family and the community that we support in. So it's like again, I will forever fight for him and for what we built. Because I just don't see myself doing this with anybody else. And I also believe that in any relationship, whether it's like, friends, family, a lover, I feel like they should be expanding your life,
Yeah.
not taking away. And since I met Orlando, it's been constant expansion.
We end these conversations with a quote by Joseph Beam, which is Black men loving Black men is the revolutionary act. And so, Troy and Orlando, in your experience, in your opinion, what makes Black men loving Black men so revolutionary?
I would say safety. I said it provides, of course, the visibility, but it also allows people like me to see that it's safe. Like when I got here, I was seeing people hold hands. I was seeing people love on each other, seeing young kids with their family, being themselves. And I didn't have that. And I always wonder, how would I have been like if I was able to love out loud then, or be able to express myself as a child without the words of whatever's going to come from the church or what my parents may think or what my family may think, or is it going to be the same story that I've heard from somebody else? Am I going to be kicked out? With it being revolutionary, it allows people to see so many different stories, see so many things of what you can do. You don't Every relationship is every situation doesn't end in a relationship, doesn't end in marriage, but it shows you different aspects of life to where like you can see yourself in somebody. And I feel like with it being revolutionary, everybody gets a piece of being able to see it. You that visibility makes you know that okay, I can find safety in that. If they had that, I can get that. But right now, or before, even right now, we don't have it. It's getting there. You're seeing it a lot more, but the safety behind it is still not there. And I feel like revolutionizing it would make it will provide a sense of safety for people.
I agree. And we'll piggyback on there that the is revolutionary because the representation matters. We don't grow up seeing a lot of Black love. And it's like even in the media today, we see a lot of interracial relationships. So to see two Black men loving each other, I also feel like it helps break down the toxic masculinity that we see a lot of times within our community, in the media as well, that you don't have to be hyper masculine. Two hyper masculine guys don't have to be together. Like our Black love looks different across the board. And I feel like, again, that representation matters so other people can see themselves in a relationship, and also, understand that things come up. All of it is new. You're going to experience things that you've never experienced before because, again, we don't have the blueprint. So it's important for us to share our story, for other people to share their story, because, again, it all helps us in the long run to navigate this space and the life that we live and the pursuit to find someone that you could build with.